Now June is the time of the year for roses, and before we go down this border I want to show you this rose here. This is the very first hybrid tea rose created in the 1860s, and it's called La France. Delightful tea rose scent, full flower, repeat flowering. What's not to like? Anyway, let's go down the border and go out into the main garden. But I want to show you what's around in the walled garden at the moment. The poor old foxgloves have been rather battered about, but the roses are doing well this year, and interspersed with other things. These are mainly Old English roses by David Austin. Tremendous disease-free, repeat flowering, lovely scent. Now, I almost forgot, being carried away by the roses, to look at the other side of the border here, and wow, apart from the cardoon, the giant cardoon, behind it are clouds of scented white flowers. Clouds. These are emanating from a giant sea kale with the heart-shaped leaves called Crambi cordifolia. But by goodness me, and the scent is gorgeous. Insects love it. You've got to have the room, but my goodness, if you do have the room, it's a fantastic sight. Continuing our journey, we will admire the Chinese dogwood, Cornus capitata. The flowers are amazing, aren't they? But the flowers themselves, actually the real flowers, are right inside. These surrounding bracts are the thing that gives it this sort of yellowy cream colour, and as they age they get a somewhat pinkish tinge around the edge. Extra attractive. Coming up behind Cornus capitata, we'll come up this path here to see this amazing flowering spike of the Nolina from Mexico. The bees love it. You can see several of them up there. It's going to go to seed quite quickly. But my goodness, what an extraordinary thing it is. So many of these things die after flowering, but this doesn't. This one will continue to sprout from the old stem. This is last year's flowering stem, and you can see the sprouts around it. Now, coming through here, past the lovely and delicate hydrangea, an early Japanese hydrangea, and past the extraordinary flowers of the allspice Aphrodite. Isn't it amazing? Amazing. Flowering very well in the shade and has been flowering for ages. Anyway, the thing is, I want you to be distracted by this extraordinary sight. The nasturtium from Chile. Let's go around the sunny side of the street. and you can see it. I think festooning is the word we use, festooning the yew hedge. Is a classic way of growing it because it loves to be in the sun, but it likes its roots to be shaded and moist. Tropaeolum speciosum. Speciosum means beautiful. I agree. Now, how can one fail to be uplifted by this jolly group of gladiolus relative from South Africa called Anomatheca laxa? I think they're gorgeous. They've got these sort of slightly smiley faces. I've had them for 35 years at least, and they just happily see themselves around. Now, hastening past this Rhamnus aretina, I want you to be amazed. Be prepared. Be prepared. Now look at this. How about that for gnarled trunk? Rather reptilian, I think. It's fantastic bark, little blue flowers trying to come out of it. 40 years ago at least, this was a seedling given by a friend, known at the time as Acnistus australis, went through Iochroma Australia, and now Eriolarynx australis again. Australis meaning southern hemisphere, not from Australia. But really it's best to have a look at it from this side. And see how far up it's got now. 15, 20 feet in the 40-something years that it's been around. I think it's astonishing. Astonishing. And here are its blue bells. Fantastic sight. Right, Bertie. Shall we go? Come on then. I was going to suggest that we come through here, but I see that the growth has been tremendous and our path is being blocked by this amazing Deutzia Magician, it's called. Pretty splendid, isn't it? Well, on our way back, a couple of things I want to show you. The first is this Aelia from New Zealand. This is Aelia Cheeseman. Cheeseman was a botanist in New Zealand. Several plants have been named after him, but I think this bears close inspection. Apart from its lovely scent, it's got these wonderful little daisies in large clusters, which I think is very sweet. Now, swinging around, there's a little azalea from Taiwan, I think it is. Yes. Anyway, the main things I'm going to show you is this extraordinary honeysuckle. Not scented, but the flowers come out of these great big sort of bells. And what's exciting about it is that after these flowers are going over the first lot, you get another lot coming up through the middle of them and forking into two separate bells. And these bells then divide further into another two. I think I've only ever seen it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bells. But I'll show you what I mean later on. But it is flowering well. It was introduced from China by the very well-renowned and expert on Chinese flora, a Japanese botanist called Mikanori Ogisu. Not all that long ago. I said I'd show you what I mean by bells within bells. So here is the old first flowers. Then that's produced a bell in the middle. And then this one has produced two subsidiary bells of flowers. So extraordinary behavior. Lonicera subequalis. Some people are more equal than others. Coming round from the honeysuckle, I'm going to show you a most unusual shrub here. It's a Deutzia, most of which are deciduous, but this one is an evergreen Deutzia, which makes it rather unusual. It's formed a small shrub about 1.2 meters tall at the moment. A few shoots going up, so it'll be a bit taller than that. But the flowers are gorgeous, I think. They're like little jewels. And they're wonderful. They're almost like they would made of porcelain or something. This is Deutzia multiradiata. Strange name, but there it is. Although I can't believe it myself, this was the first tree I planted here when this garden was just a bullock field. This field with the bullocks grazing. And this was about a 7-foot standard tree. Now look at the trunk. Astonishing. And there's Bertie for proportion. It took about 15 years. This is 1977 I planted this. This took 15 years to flower, and every year it flowers beautifully. So here are the flowers. You can see why it's called a tulip tree. They do look like tulips. And they have a faint smell of hot chocolate. And the leaves are a characteristic snipped off shape. Sort of related to magnolias, as you can see. I'll leave you admiring the flowering thyme, bottle brush, diorama waving in the wind, and the eryngium big blue.